Act 3-4, Darkest Before the Dawn. This is a 9-minute video, and there's a lot of fights down here, and it's pretty tough, but look how beautiful it looks. The texture work, the lighting, gosh, this game looks so goddamn good. And admittedly, you know, I'm playing it on hardware that just didn't exist when the game came out, but the fact that it can still look this good is really, really nice. But I have to warn you guys, if you're looking at it just thinking, this looks amazing, I want to go back and play it. There's the Invisible Wretch, by the way. I've always wondered why it did that, but I managed to capture it on the guide, so I can showcase you some OG Weird Gears stuff. But this game is kind of unstable. It deletes your save file a lot. It deleted my save file 3 times, and I was lucky to be able to record the guide, actually, because I managed to salvage it. But all I can say, folks, is make sure you back up your save, and make sure you understand where you're putting your save, because there's like 9 folders that are identical that all have fucking save file data in them, and it's really confusing. And it's frustrating. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. But it has to be said, guys, this is the best way to play Gears of War 1 for single player. For multiplayer, I don't know what would be best, because this is completely dead, this game. I tried to get in a couple games the other day, and I got in with one Spanish guy on a private match, and that was it. But this is going to be a lot of Lambent Wretches, so feel free to shoot them with whatever you want to shoot them with. You can save your ammo if you want to. I'm not too worried about that, because every time you get an ammo pickup, you can refill the long shot, so I can have fun with it. But I did miss just then, so feel free to take a shot. That was a hipfire shot. You can take a shot if you want to. Hipfire is random, pretty much. You can condition it a little bit. For the most, it's kind of crazy. If you stand still when you do it, it's much more accurate. But standing still when you're being chased by wretches can be awkward. There's another miss, guys. There's a second miss. Feel free for 2 more shots. Try not to die, please. And here's the first fight. So, guy with a shotgun running into the middle. That is not cover, dude. That was terrible cover. Gotta love the fact that they do that. And then here comes the next spawn once you get rid of him. All of these have helmets, so make sure you get your actives and hit them in the body, because if you hit them in the face, you'll knock the helmet off. There's another guy with a shotgun. There's me trying to do a sweep shot, and I miss. Take a shot. That is oh god, they're so damaging, those shotguns. That one actually landed. Interesting, but no headshot for me. There was a helmet shot. Why did I do that? Should have hit his body. Oh, that was cool. That looked awesome, dude. That was like a wrestling move. But pushing forward here, there's going to be a guy over by the rocks. If you shoot the rock pillar, it'll drop some boulders on him and kill him. And then you can move on, and there's going to be a couple of wretches that attack you here. So it's all pretty simple so far, nothing too strenuous. If you're worried about the corpse, so don't be worried about him. I'm going to beat him with a pistol to show you just how easy he really is. And that should give you confidence if you don't like that fight. But it's more of a puzzle fight than anything else. It's not a boss, really. Look at Dom, though. Dom just does not care. Absolute beast. And then he still gets downed, because he's crazy. But it's cool to see. I like Dom getting in there. Right now, you can't go into cover against many things either, because the cover system is so very specific in this one. But here is a bunch of Lambents about to spawn. It's also going to have a boomer on the furthest side from us, and a bunch of the Lambents are going to be crawling across the scaffold if you want to shoot them and get rid of them. But I almost get the feeling like they get more life on the scaffolding, because they take 2 Boltox, which we've already discussed. But then again, they take 2 Boltox when you aim. It's when you hipfire that they seem to die in one, so I'm super not certain about that mechanic. Anyhow, there's the first bunch of them. There's going to be a cutscene coming up showing us the Boomer's appearance. You do not have to kill him, so I'm not going to, because I kind of feel like Boomers are nice guys. They're just misunderstood, right? But the Lambents are assholes, so make sure you wreck them. Do you see that? That's almost as bad as what Juvies do. If I'd have slowed that down, you'll know what happened then. I had my reticle on him, and the frame I fired, he dodged. The Locusts do this. They do it all the time, and it feels like they're screen watching. It feels like you've got that friend who's screen watching you, and it's really annoying. And I think I've even slowed down a piece of footage somewhere in this walkthrough where I'm going to have my aimer on someone's head, I'm going to fire, and the frame that I fire, they turn around, so it misses. But this is also a really difficult room for a lot of players. All you want to do is stand behind this L-shaped block, use Dom as bait, and shoot as many as you can as quickly as you can. And then it really doesn't seem that bad once you've done it a few times. But I know just from experience, back in the day, that a lot of people had difficulties here. And I'm happy to report this was another first attempt. So, You know, it just goes to show when you've played the game enough and you know it enough, you can come back and display really strong strategies. But this is another famous splitting up sequence, because this is an area where when you do it on Insane with your friend, if your friend is not as good at Insane as you are, you can really feel it here, because it's a difficult sequence. So both players are going to take on drones, and they're going to take on Lambent Wretches, but the problem with the way that it's set up is the path funnels both ways, and because it funnels both ways, the enemies on one side can attack the person on the other side and vice versa, and you can get into situations where you're getting tagged by two people at once. So my strategy to get around this is to spawn and then back up, and then when you back up and they come towards you, they expose themselves and you can kill them. And it does work really well, but coming up on this bridge area just here, I get a bunch of locusts that do not want to follow me, and it puts me into a position where I have to seek a disadvantageous position to win, and I probably should have just been a bit more aggressive. So right now, instead of completely backing up, going to that cover that I was just on before I turned around, and you'll probably do a better job here, but I remember the impetus on needing to get distance so you didn't get rushed, and I remember it so strongly that it's one of those feelings that if I've remembered it this powerfully, it must mean something. And you all do that, right? You know when you've played something a lot and you go back to it and for some reason your brain's nagging you to do something but you can't remember why, and then when the enemies turn up you realise exactly what you'd remembered. But this is kind of that moment. So this guy has got a hammer burst, he's up against cover. If he gets aggressive, if he overextends, I'll put him down, but if he doesn't, I have to overextend, and it's not a fun place to be. So of all the videos so far, this is the first one where the strategy isn't going to decimate the enemy. That was a miss, take a shot. That was cool. See you later. The long shot is so powerful, and I think people get obsessed with going for heads, but in Gears 1 with an active, you just did not need to. So even if you're not the best shot with the gun, just exploit the actives. And if you're in the multiplayer, the active downs, Jesus Christ, if you remember that nightmare, that was something else. You had to respect people with rifles way more than you ever would have in any other video game, because of how dangerous they were. But a couple more wretches here. That's the toll telling us it's the end of the battle. And then down here is another pretty tricky fight. There's a lot of enemies here, guys. There's also wretches. So once you chuck your grenade to try and catch a few people off guard, always back up. The reason you'll remember this fight is because there's only cover where the enemies are, so the enemies will rush you. And when the enemies rush on Insane, it's one of the easiest ways to die. But I back up over here, I use Dom as bait. I'm also coming this way to refill on grenades that I just tossed. That's the reason I went crazy with grenades. It's not because I'm a spastic, it's just because I understand the concept of the refills. Even though I could have thrown one more then and got full grenades back. But here's a dude with a helmet. He's lagging out against the wall. Him and Dob have got some kind of weird sex pack thing going on there. But luckily enough we put him down, and I do a failed reload to take a shot. Who we got left? One person with a hammer burst and a Lambent Wretch. So right then, did you notice how I turned around and I ran? You don't have to do that. Conventionally, all you have to do is hold backwards in A, and your character will start running the opposite direction and the camera will turn to face it. On PC, however, my sensitivity is quite high with the mouse that I can turn faster than the game can. So that's the reason why I'm not doing that particular technique. But when I play on controller, guys, that's what I do. Because even on max sensitivity on Gears, you cannot turn as fast as I would like. So it'll save your life. And all you do is hold away from the direction that you're facing and hold A. You'll then spin the camera and roadie run the opposite direction you're facing. It's one of those techniques of movement that you might not be aware of. I hope you are, though. Thank you for watching, and you take care now.